Hey everybody, what's up? I am coming to you with another episode from the Summer Smash weekend. Now, in this episode, I sat down with two of my girlfriends, Miranda and Charity, and we talked all things fitness, lifestyle, daily habits, and we get really deep into some therapy talk and some hardships that we have each had to overcome. And throughout the episode, you guys are going to laugh. You are definitely going to cry. So just a forewarning there. But it was really such a beautiful example of what I believe true women friendship can really be. This truly, guys, is one of my favorite episodes, and I hope that you will listen. I hope that you'll actually go over to YouTube and watch as well. We have it on YouTube, just so that you guys can see. The YouTube quality is not the greatest. I had to kind of make do with the hotel room, and all the angles were not correct, but I just, I wanted to get it recorded for you guys, but I just think it's really important to show what true women and female connection and friendship can really look like, because these are two of the most genuine people ever. And I think sometimes just from the outside looking in, you may not really know that when you just kind of see what's on the surface. But we go so deep in this episode, so much further than what I believe you can see just by scrolling on their Instagram or just looking very quickly. But if you guys will take the time and actually listen to this, I think you guys are going to get so much out of it. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to share one of my favorite products that I've actually taken on vacation with me. And you guys know, if you're watching my Instagram, that I'm currently on vacation. I am in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm staying on St. Thomas and spending time on St. John. It's been incredible. But one thing that I really don't want to travel without, whether I'm on vacation or traveling for work, is the sleep bundle from Cured Nutrition. Now, the sleep bundle combines the Zen product as well as the raw CBN oil. These two products together are absolutely incredible to make sure that you get the best night's sleep, so that once you're actually falling asleep, then Zen is actually there to make sure that you're cycling out and in of the REM, deep sleep, into REM, and back again. Now, this is really important especially when you travel, because the smallest things can throw off your sleep, whether it's weird noises that you're not used to, or it's the pillow, the bed, different time zone. There's so many things that can kind of throw your sleep off. So this is something I use when I'm at home, but especially when I travel, I'm not going to travel without it. And guys, the first time that you try this, the sleep bundle of Zen and the CBN oil, you're going to completely understand why. You're going to be like, I should have bought this sooner. So Zen is a blend of functional mushrooms, cannabinoids, adaptogens, and the CBN is a lesser known cannabinoid found in the hemp plant. These products were designed to support the two most critical stages of your body's natural sleep cycle, REM sleep and non-REM sleep. Now, the Cured Nutrition CBN oil contains 30 milligrams of CBD and 5 milligrams of CBN. Together, the CBD and CBN create a synergistic whole body effect, so that when it starts to kick in, you'll notice every inch of your body soften into a deeper state of relaxation, as if you're laying beneath the comfort of a weighted blanket. Once you're actually asleep, Zen is there to make sure that your body successfully cycles in and out of non-REM deep sleep into REM and back again. So whether you can't fall asleep or you can't stay asleep, these products in this bundle actually solves both of those problems. So right now, Cured is extending an offer to you, my listeners. You can grab Zen and CBN in the sleep bundle for an extra 20% off Cured's already discounted price by visiting curednutrition.com/Emily Hayden and using coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout. With this extra discount, you're actually getting 36% off the regular price. Yes, 36% off. That's CURED nutrition.com/Emily Hayden and coupon code Emily Hayden at checkout to save an extra 20%. Improve your sleep, improve your life. Do not sleep on this product. That was actually kind of funny. You actually can sleep on this product quite a bit. Okay, maybe those are the wrong choice of words. Get the product, guys. You will not regret it. And then make sure to send your receipt to evolvewithemily@gmail.com if you would like to be entered into a giveaway that I'm doing for those of you that choose to support the show. So make sure that you do that so I can give a big thank you to a couple of you that I'm going to choose, because this is one of the number one ways to support the shows currently. So thank you guys, and let's get into today's episode. All right. Yeah, I'm excited to just look back on this and be able to see the progress from hotel style setups to professional production team eventually.
Absolutely.
Private studio.
Yeah. Did you guys end up eating this morning?
Oh, boy.
it was a whole fiasco. But
did you guys do like the breakfast buffet?
No, so they stopped serving breakfast by the time we even went downstairs because, I needed sleep.
Yeah.
So we went downstairs at 11 and breakfast was closed. So, yeah, it was just, it was kind of a disaster. Starbucks espresso machine broken.
Yes.
The entire espresso machine?
And they're all out of food too. So that was a no-go. So I was like, okay, I'll eat downstairs at the hotel. But then I ordered my food and 40 minutes later and I was like, hey, I'm still waiting on my food.
Oh, no. Did you eat?
Yes. I originally wanted the breakfast that was available downstairs. Also slept in, the cutoff was obviously,
Wait, what time is the cutoff, by the way? I was up early.
I believe it was 10.
Oh, okay. Dang.
So I went down there and I just, when they said, breakfast is no longer being served, I'm like, okay, I'll just get a coffee. And then it was like weird. They had a cup of coffee there, but it was half. It was like half of a cup. So I'm like, oh, did anyone drink out of this? And they were like, no. And
no,
I'm
it's
like,
what's left in the pot.
Yeah. It was just
That
really
was the
awkward.
last bit of coffee for the hotel.
Yes.
Guys, that's so sad.
Yes, I was like,
I'm sorry.
Can't brew another pot.
I'm sorry, but how much are they paying per night? We can't brew another cup.
I was like,
yes.
It's like, you're out of coffee. You cannot brew another cup. And so she was like, you can go to the market and get a coffee there. So I literally
They wouldn't make you coffee?
No. So I went around and ordered a coffee from a machine and then went back and then ordered my food and then never got my food. So I ate Tony's food.
Stop.
Yes. He ordered 5 things, so he's fine. But
He always does.
Yeah.
Honestly, he has really been coming in clutch with the food recently.
he
The
has.
pizza
Last
night.
night. Yeah.
And he ordered it just in time. I still
No,
feel
it
like it
came
took a
in
while.
just in time.
Yeah.
It looked really good though. It didn't look too greasy, even though
No, it wasn't. It
have
was
any
very
myself,
thin
but
too. It was
really
very
good.
light, which was nice.
Honestly, I wanted more. I was
know.
like, there's
I
not
know,
enough
I stopped
sustenance.
myself, yeah.
And they're like, does anyone want the last slice? I'm like, of course I want the last slice.
Yeah, of course we're not. We're not gonna say that though. I'm like, I want to feel good in the morning. She isn't my best friend.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not mad that I didn't go harder. I just in the moment definitely wanted some more sustenance. But
Yes.
Absolutely.
Summer Smash, that was lit.
It was actually
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
What did you guys? Was that your first one?
Yeah, that
ever?
was my first official one.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest thing that stands out to you about just the event in its entirety?
I think just First Form in general, just the culture is just beautiful. I've never actually been a part of a company with such a huge culture, and to me that just stands out.
Yeah.
By any other supplement company, any other company I've ever worked with. It's just the way that everyone comes together as a community and everyone's so supportive, everyone's kind. That's so underrated.
I love that you're mentioning that because I feel like First Form is a brand that's really setting and holding the standard for what it's like to create culture and community. Yes. Whereas I feel like previously people weren't focused on it. They didn't see it as an important part of the business. It was more so about okay, which athletes with big followings can we get
how jacked, how shredded,
Right.
how hardcore can you be?
Yeah.
It's all superficiality,
Yeah.
Whereas First Form is giving back to community. You've got 30 for the kids. You've they do so many different outreaches for the public that it's it is a culture.
Absolutely.
It's not just a vitamin brand.
Yeah. I know a lot of the conversations I was having yesterday were with, customers and legionnaires and other athletes, people that were there saying they know, they have confidence that whoever they go up to, they're going to have a great conversation. Right? Because we're all there with similar core values and beliefs, and we're there under the same, mission of being good people, doing the right thing, and having perseverance and not quitting when things get hard, whether that's through a big worldwide thing that happens or your relationship or finances, and not being scared to pivot and shift when things start to feel like they're on fire, which I know we've all had, in our lives, which we'll get into.
Absolutely.
But with that, guys, welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I'm your host, Emily Hayden, and today we have two beautiful guests on in what is a makeshift hotel podcast studio. We're doing our best here, guys. So if you're on YouTube watching, hi, what's up? If people do not know who you guys are, could you guys both take a minute and just introduce yourselves? We have Charity here on my left and we have Miranda on my right. So could you just give a little intro? Who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? So they can get to know a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Charity Witt. I started out as a U.S. master swimmer, and then I went into international elite powerlifting, strong woman, and competed and won in NBC Titan Games with Dwayne Johnson. So from there, I have just retired from competing, and now I have developed my own brand. So I have my own fitness app, just doing online training, connecting with clients, and more so overseeing their athletic careers versus my own.
That's cool, yeah.
But yeah, I still like to get in the gym though.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
So my name is Miranda. I started off personal training. I actually just recently stopped that last May of 2021, and I turned my business into an online coaching business. And that's been really great for me personally, just because I really did like the personal training. It's just I wanted to be able to utilize my platform more. I wanted to put myself out there more, connect more. And I felt with the personal training, it was just, I was very restricted. So now I focus on that. And also just wanting to help one person at a time. That is overall my goal. So,
yeah, and I think that's something that really unites a lot of us, right? Is we all have that similar goal of understanding. You know, people say, I feel like it's a motivational thing to be like, oh, I want to change people's lives, right? But like
I
when
just want to change one.
yeah, just one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like when we're at these events like Summer Smash, like yesterday, right? It's like we have that one person in front of us. Like even if one person spoke to me yesterday, not a single other person spoke to me, I can think of multiple one-person conversations that I was like, that was worth it. Everything that you just told me was worth everything.
Absolutely.
And also like what a cool freaking position that we all get to be in, where we can literally help someone go from a life where they feel depressed, sad, alone, broken, to living a life that they're actually happy about and proud of. But, you know, that only comes from a place of having experienced those things ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So I got to ask, I'll start with you, Charity. So you mentioned like you have a high competitive drive, right? And now you get to help other people do that. Where does that competitive drive come from? Because I've found in my life, the ones with the most fight, they've had to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I'd say the competitiveness in me is like more of, it's more of like personal, because it's like, you know, in strong women, like, yes, like you are versing other athletes. But I think for me, everything was very personal. Everything was like showing myself that I could be better than the circumstances I was born into. You know, we can't choose our families. We can't choose our circumstances or our surroundings and what life that we're brought into. But we can change what we choose to do with those circumstances, you know, and that decision is ours. So I think like for me, being a competitor was more about bettering myself and like taking myself to the next level and truly being elite and knowing how to elevate myself, to learn, to grow in every capacity. And that was my science, you know, so it was very personal for me. And I think that drive is just wanting to be better. And it's like wanting to be the best version of you. And it goes beyond sports, but I first found it in sports, and I think that competing helped actually foster that in me, because competing and doing the sports and whatever else, like when you are actively disciplining yourself and setting intentions and you are reaping the rewards of those intentions, you are training yourself, okay, if I put in the work, I see results. And I think that's the biggest lesson anyone can ever learn. You know, it's like when you show up consistently day in and day out, and then you are reaping the benefits of that hard work, then it's like, okay, well, that makes anything possible.
Yeah,
then,
absolutely.
you know, and I think being a competitor kind of like broadens your scopes of like what is a possibility for you in your life. And it gave me hope.
Wow.
And that's what I needed in my life.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And it's cool that you get to kind of turn that around and be able to instill that hope in others just as what you needed. And I find often that's what we end up doing, right? We end up being that person that we wish that we had back then. So speaking of discipline and building those daily habits, you're somebody who you actually have not competed in bodybuilding, right?
Right.
But you have the lifestyle of a competitor. You're literally prepping your meals. You're like, you're like
She does.
low key little psycho.
I kind of am, honestly.
Welcome.
And I think for me, like, I just kind of had to embrace that about myself. I don't know. I've always been overlooked, or I would say I would consider myself to be an underdog. You know, I don't get shit easily. You know, I'm not popular. I haven't gotten a lot of things in my life easy at all, you know? So it's like, for me, I knew that, you know, when I dropped out of college after 3 years, I knew that I was going to have to grind, and I knew that I was going to have to make a name for myself giving extreme effort, you know, because look at how many influencers, you know, there are online. Look at how many people actually do this lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Saturated
so
now.
Yeah.
absolutely. And, you know, now with, you know, TikTok becoming, you know, one of the main apps that people use, and, you know, they connect on there as well. It's like, for me, being 26, I've been doing fitness and, posting on social media for 6 years now. It's like, for me, it's like, I have to stay relevant. And I have to stay relevant because I want to continue to make a difference because I know that I'm capable of doing that. So it's like, for me, it's like, I know I have to continue to level up. I know that I can't really slack on my diet. I know that, my purpose is greater than, where I'm currently at right now. And it's like, for me, I have to keep pushing myself there. And I was actually just having this conversation with you yesterday. Like, I know that I could actually compete in bodybuilding if I wanted to do that because, like, I came here and I ordered meal prep to my room, and I literally hit my protein goal every single day that I've been here. And Nick,
which says a lot with our long days.
I know.
Like, girl, if you're hitting your protein goal.
So I hope he's listening to this because I am on point. Okay?
She is. I
Can confirm.
So yeah, just for me, like I just don't get shit easily, and I have never had an easy route. I can't tell you how many times like I've asked myself, Miranda, what are you doing? What are you doing today? Like, how are you going to make a difference today? And it's just, there's a lot of pressure living this lifestyle. And to be honest with you, I don't think that it's for everybody. And I think that the ones that fight the hardest, those are the people that win in the end. Because, anyone can go online and be an influencer. But it's like, for me, it's like, what makes you stand out? What makes you different? What makes you attractive to people? Because at the end of the day, when we pass away, no one's going to be like, oh my God, I remember when,
She had great legs.
Yeah. I remember. I don't know. I don't know. Some of my friends, I will always remember their butt.
That's actually true.
But like, I want to be remembered for being a nice, kind, genuine person. I want to be remembered for doing and giving, because the physicality, it's not going to last, but impact actually lasts. And I think that that's so important because as social media influencers, we get so wrapped up on like looking this certain way and getting to our best physique. And honestly, I'm guilty of that as well. But it's like, at the end of the day, like, I want to be remembered for my kind heart. I want to be remembered for just doing great things in life, because when we die, no one's like, oh,
You're very grounded, especially for being like mid-20s. You're very grounded. And I kind of wonder where that comes from because I see a lot of people coming up like in the influencer world in the young 20s and such. And you can tell they don't have that perspective yet, which I think often comes with lived experiences, which is why I'm curious. Do you know where that comes from in you? Like, how do you have such a clear perspective in what I believe to be just a very grounded way of thinking about things?
Yeah. So I would say, honestly, therapy has helped me a lot.
Gotcha.
Therapy.
Therapy.
I have seen a therapist regularly since I've been 14 years old.
That's amazing.
My parents did not have a great relationship, and my mom wanted me to quote unquote be normal, but I've never felt normal. I don't think anyone actually feels normal, but that has really kept me grounded, and I've tried my best to be consistent with that every single week.
Oh wow.
So that
even
has really
since
helped.
then?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that has been really helpful. Sometimes like, I just turned 26, so the change of my insurance kind of, was a little disastrous a little bit.
Welcome to the adult world.
Right? So after I figured that out, that was good. But yeah, no, I think therapy has helped a lot, and I just think life is all perspective. I have never, I was actually just talking to her about this earlier. Like I have never been one to have this like huge entitlement. I think going off of what you said, I think entitlement, with people coming and, gaining a following and this feeling of importance, I think that it comes from entitlement because I think the way that our life is, it's very fast paced. It's very like, give me. And people forget that, to get to that top level, it takes years. I mean, you can't just post on, the app for 2 weeks and be like, oh, I'm going to be Instagram or TikTok famous. Like, that's not how it works.
And also, what are you going to do with that when you get there?
Well, yeah. And
like, what do you plan to do with that influence?
Right. Right, exactly.
And it's like, how are you going to foster that and stay relevant? Because it's like, okay, you peak, and then what? How are you going to keep people's attention? And it's like, it's the retention. And it's like, and anybody who's coached knows that client retention is key. It's not gaining new clients. It's retaining that relationship with your clients, that trust and that building that, that relationship, because it's like, that's what it is with your following. And if they don't feel like you're somebody worth their following, then you're going to lose that follower. So it's like, I do feel that people are, like you said, like they're trying to get on the bandwagon of like, okay, I'll do this and I'll do this and this. And it's like, it's honestly, the game is longevity of like, what are you doing to change that one person's life? Like, what are you doing for that one client instead of look at me, look at me, look at me?
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you touching people's lives?
Absolutely.
I think that's so good. And it's, I think it's kind of a trap a lot of people fall into when they do start to initially build that following, is they start to feel important because of a number. But there's a big issue, dude, when you place that importance on this app, right? Because all of a sudden you feel important. But what happens when, like you said, you peak and then you're off of that and you no longer have those numbers, that engagement, that audience? I feel like a lot of us who have been on social for a long time now, we've all experienced that.
Yes,
we've all been through the highs of it,
yeah.
and once you really get to detach from that, and you learn not to place your worth in that, or not to place too much importance on what other people think, I think the closer you can actually get to your purpose and what you were actually designed to do, because now you're not focused on the things that shouldn't really matter in the first place. Because here's the thing, if you are making an impact and you are seriously positively impacting people's lives, everything else will come.
I was going to say, and the number doesn't matter, and if that's the case.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
and that doesn't equate to money either.
No, it really doesn't.
People confuse that, like
it really
you can have 1 million followers and
that always cracks me up.
And you could be making 20 grand a year. I mean,
literally.
Think about it this way. So think about, like, whenever the very first fitness influencers were coming up, a lot of them, it was new to all of us, right? But it's like all of a sudden you gain all this following, and yet you know nothing about business. You know nothing about how to capitalize on this. Now I feel like there are a lot of people coming up, a lot of younger people who are so much more educated and intentional and understanding how to work social media for a business. But back when it was all new, it's like all these people that had no idea what to do with it when they got there. So we're in such a really great position right now where I feel like people have such a better understanding of social media and how to use it. And I think it's been something that's just been, a blessing in my life. It's literally why we're all here in this room right now.
Absolutely.
Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
But so you mentioned therapy a little bit.
Yeah.
I love therapy. I'm a huge supporter of it. So I kind of want to get into that a little bit with you guys. Because I feel like it is definitely more widely accepted than it used to be. But would you guys be willing to share maybe a little bit from your experience of either something that you have really benefited from when it comes to therapy, or maybe even if you had like holdbacks or a negative view that you personally had of it, anything that you guys want to share in regards to that?
Absolutely.
Mental health, therapy, that whole thing.
Yeah. So my experience with therapy has been honestly really great. I would say the therapist I have now, I really feel in touch with her, and I think that that's super important when actually, meeting with a therapist, is actually feeling comfortable. I've had therapists of all ages. I've had, women in their 60s. I've had males. I've kind of had a range. I probably have seen 7 different therapists since I've been 14. And I like to switch them when I kind of feel like I have gotten everything that I could actually receive from them. And so I think the therapist that I have now, she's in her mid 30s, and I just feel like we really connect, and I don't feel like she judges me. And I think that that's super important, when you are actually talking to a therapist, that you don't feel judged or criticized when you make a mistake, because the whole reason, you're going to therapy is, you want to feel accepted, but you also want to learn, or that's just personally like my perspective. And so long story short, I'm an Aries. And so the Aries can be a little bit.
Everybody has that one friend.
I know.
Is it both of you? Or
Not really. I think it's more.
It's just you. Okay. So go ahead. We'll give you the space.
So Aries, I would say, can be a little bit more like egotistical and aggressive and kind of like rawr, And so for me, I really wanted to work on that aspect of myself, because when I was in high school, if a friend was talking about me, I would go up to them. I would be at their locker like, hey, did you say this about me? I heard, da-da-da. And,
absolutely.
Looking back, it's like, that was so not okay for me to do that.
Confrontation.
I mean,
to be honest,
let's be honest. If you guys say some shit about me, I'm showing up at your hotel door. I have no issue with that.
I would rather that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a fake person. So it's like, for me, it's like, I just can't stand fake shit. Like, don't be fake. Yeah. Like, you don't have to like me.
Yes.
You don't have
just
to
be honest about it.
Just be like cordial, but like, we don't have to like be BFFs. Like, it's all good. Like, I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and like, I'm totally okay with that. But before I was not. I'd be like, well, why am I not being liked, and this and that. So for me, it's like I really wanted to work on my ego. And I think I really have worked on that, because even when I like meet new people, I always ask like, what did you think about me when we first met? And it's and it's a lot more positive than I would say like probably 10 years ago, so it's, I'd rather give someone a compliment. I'd rather go out of my way and be like, you're killing it. You're doing great. other people to feel good. And I think that just comes from a place of like, I've worked on myself, and I don't need to be the center of attention. You know, I'd rather put the energy on somebody else and make someone else feel good, because when you see someone light up, you know, after a compliment, like there is just nothing, there's nothing better than that. For me. And I love doing that, you know, and I think as women, like we can all, you know, be nicer and complimentary to each other.
I agree. And so the very first time I met you, my first impression of you was I respected you instantly, because you walked up and told me exactly what you thought and felt, and just your connection to me and everything. And I could not have respected you more in that moment for your truthfulness, your honesty, and your willingness just to say it. Because sometimes people can be a little, you know, they can be a little weird. They don't know how to like interact, or they like pretend that they don't know you when they like actually know you.
Yeah. And then I know it is weird.
And it's weird
so
because then you're like, it's cool. Like, just let me know, you know, or
we all know who each other are.
Exactly.
It's
So
okay.
I just love that you were like a no BS mentality. Hey, this is who I am. I think you're awesome. You're great. I want to da-da-da, right? And I was like, wow, you're awesome. Thank you for like I immediately felt like I could trust you.
Okay.
You know?
That's awesome.
So,
I'm glad I made you feel that way.
Yeah.
And even going back on that, you know, like when you were talking about the, you know, being in this for a long time. I mean, you know, I've told you this several times. I used to watch your YouTube videos. Like, a part of like the reason why I even started fitness was, you know, because of people like you and Katie Earn and Nikki Blackheader and all those people that did, you know, YouTube. It was like, you guys started this shit. Like, you guys are what made fitness popular, in my opinion, you know? So it's like, for me, it's like, I'm honored, one, to even be here. And two, it's like, I just remember being on the cardio machine for too long, like an hour and a half. I would be killing myself on there watching your videos and just watching how consistent you were. And honestly, like, I think that kind of plays a part into why I'm consistent now, is because like I've seen people like you putting in that work, consistency, and, you know, again, like, you know, I'm not a competitor, but it's like just watching how disciplined that you have been over the years has been so inspiring to many, you know, including myself. I mean, I think a lot of the influencers that started around like our time, my time, you know, I think that you're a big reason for that. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means the world. And it, you know, something you mentioned is like okay, so we all know that who you surround yourself with is so important, right? That's part of why we all love First Form. But for example, even sometimes people think that means literally, like you have to actually be in a hotel room with them, right?
Yeah.
No, like it can literally be who you're surrounding yourself with by the podcasts that you listen to, the, you know, YouTube videos that you watch, right? Because you're being influenced by what you're consuming. Yeah. Similar to like if you always consume the news or negativity or, you know, different media outlets, you're being influenced by that. So you wonder why you're walking around in so much fear, anxiety, and panic. Look at the inputs that you have inside of your brain, heart, mind, and soul, and you'll probably have a pretty good connection of where that's coming from. So yeah, I think that's just something really important to mention, because sometimes people feel like I'm at the lowest place in my life. I'm unhappy. I'm alone. I have no one. It's like, I've had moments like that before. And when I literally chose internet friends that didn't know me yet, you know what I mean? Meaning like, and then we didn't even talk. I just consumed their podcast. And by consuming their podcast, I would like laugh when they laughed. And I like kind of felt like I wasn't alone. I felt like a part of something, you know? So I really encourage people to find your people, even if it's not in your direct community just yet, even if you haven't found them, do whatever it is that you have to do to find those people.
Absolutely.
Because you're connecting to like an energy source, right? Like you're literally plugging in.
Yeah.
So it's like when you do that, it's like, what are you plugging into? You know, and you want to make sure that when you insert, like you're literally in there. And I'm like, okay, I'm receiving this person's energy when I connect with them. So it's like, what type of energy do you want to be receiving?
Yeah.
And you have to keep that in mind. You like on your phones, like all these apps that we have, you know, it's just like the metaverse.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So what about you when it comes to therapy, healing, personal work?
All of the above.
Yeah. Get into that, 'cause
man.
you've done so much work on yourself. And I feel like it just speaks to, you know, I see everybody here as unique and different for different ways, but like you really have such a huge, caring heart with so much compassion and love. But you're also a fighter. Like it's fire.
I saw that last night.
I saw that last night, and we are gonna get into that right after this. We are totally getting into that story.
Oh my God.
But yeah, before we get there, talk to me a little bit just about the personal work that you've done on yourself and the healing journey that you've been on, and how that has impacted your life.
Well, what a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess like for those that don't know my story, you know, it's like I left home, dropped out of high school, got my GED, moved up to Canada, worked, because I just didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't have a purpose. And I knew I wasn't ready for college because I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life. You know, I just needed something different. And I also knew that I needed to make money. So I worked all the time. Like I was working between 60 and 80 hours a week. Like it was a lot for someone who was like 17 years old. And, you know, looking back, like I realized like how quickly I grew up and I didn't really have a childhood, you know, and that's a separate story. But I think it was good for me though, because it's like getting out of where I grew up and then moving somewhere different, completely alone at 17, working all the time. Those were very formative years for me. I'd say that it taught me like that character of working hard and servicing others. And it also taught me, unfortunately, that I'm the only one who has me, you know, and it's that severe independent mentality. And I didn't realize that was like a trauma response until later on into my healing journey, because, you know, I thought like, no, I got me. Can't trust anybody. You know, I was very like, I had discipline. I worked hard, you know, very, very driven, but very hard, didn't trust others, wasn't open.
So, and what's the issue with that? Because I think, you know, we are a society right now that's promoting that.
I know.
I did it myself. I got me. And like, I have personal
Fuck
experience
the world,
with that.
You know,
So it's like, what's the issue with being too dependent on yourself and not allowing anyone else to show up for you?
And I think, so that's the key. And it's like, because that's not strength. And I think that's where, you know, I'm getting goosebumps when I like talk about this, because true strength is understanding where your limitations are and that you can't get there alone. You know, you can get so far and then you're going to get there and you're going to need a helping hand and you're going to need someone to be there for you, because we weren't meant to be alone. We weren't meant to just fight on our own. You know, we are not bred like that, you know? So I think it was really good, because it's like going through that. And, you know, I had that mentality, honestly, till my mid-20s. And it wasn't until therapy. And I didn't get therapy until after a failed marriage and all that other stuff.
I forget
you know?
that you went through that too.
I know, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, going through all of those, you know, trials and tribulations during my fitness career. And it's like I was at the peak of my powerlifting career, and my marriage gone, like divorced within a year. Had to go to therapy after that, you know, like making sure I was safe, I was healing, and I just felt so lost and I felt so alone. And I had a friend and she's like one of my best friends, and she was just like, well, this is my therapist, you know, just give her a call, you know. And I didn't do it, and I waited like 2 months, and then I finally did it. And first session, and like I bawled probably the entire session, and I didn't realize how much I had locked inside and how much hurt and pain and bitterness and how broken I was, until like literally it's like she just asked me some very simple questions, but she knew how to tap into me immediately. And she like was asking me about my younger siblings, and she was just like, when you think of love and you think of, and this is what most surreal moment for me, because, you know, talk about my divorce, and she's like, I don't want to talk about your divorce. She's like, when you think of love, who are the first people that come in your mind? She's like, it's not him, it's not yourself. She goes, who is it? And I was like, my younger siblings. And she's like, she's like, feel that emotion. She's like, I just want you to sit here for a second. She's like, let yourself feel that emotion that you have for your younger siblings, what you would do for them.
Wow.
And I just start bawling.
Yeah.
And she goes, that's love.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my God, you know, I know, right? I know, like, I know, I'm like holding it back, you know, but it was like such a surreal moment for me, because I was like, I had mistaken trauma and abuse and manipulation for love. You know, that controlling, like, I have to earn your approval. I have to be good enough for you. I have to accomplish all these things. That's not love. Right. And, you know, and then I realized that I've been doing that to myself too. I'm never measuring that to myself, you know, like my own expectations, you know, my own, like, ways that I hold myself up to these accounts, and it's like I was never good enough for me. And then it's like going into those first 2 sessions, I was just like a wreck.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize like how deep those wounds had gone until it was like, wow, like you are choosing partners that mirror how you treat yourself.
Facts.
And I'm just like,
Ooh,
I am like, right, but it's like I was
Charity laying
self-depreciating.
it on us.
Girl, you said get as deep as you want.
Yes.
But like I treated myself so badly, and I was so hard on myself, and I think that's why like I chose partners who also treated me badly, because it was all me. And going to therapy helped me realize that, okay, like I keep repeating these cycles in my life and I keep having these patterns because I don't see my own value. And it was like working on myself, doing the work, going to therapy, grinding, trying to make ends meet. I mean, like when I got divorced, I had like $15 in my bank account, and $150 in my savings.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I just remember being like, you know what? I don't care if I have to paycheck to paycheck, but I'm going to do this. I'm somehow, some way. And I think that mentality of like, I will figure it out. I don't have a plan. I don't have a direction, but I'm going to make myself better. It's the intention of like, I'm going to complete this healing. I started this journey, and it's a never ending journey. There is no, I'm healed.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It is continuous, so it's like once you start it, you got to keep going. And I think it's a commitment to the journey. It's a commitment to yourself. And it's like, I don't feel like there's an end to it. I don't feel like you reach it and I've got it. I've made it.
Or like I've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like none of us do. We're always changing. And it's like, I read something once that really resonated with me, because it's like to love someone is to love a million different versions of them in a lifetime.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and that's what it is, because we are constantly being rebirthed as a new person, and we're supposed to be.
Right.
So it's like, it's to watch 100 funerals for that person. It's to see them continually change and evolve, and like, it's like, okay, and we also have to be that loving with ourselves. So that's what therapy taught me.
Absolutely. Okay, before we like talk about anything else, I'm gonna try not to cry.
If you want to, it's okay though.
I obviously have not known you for a very long time. I met her. When was this? When do we have the athlete weekend? Like in April, right?
Yeah,
in April.
In April, yeah.
What's today? June.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sooner to like what? 2 months.
So a couple of months, and I just think you are just an absolutely beautiful person, and I know that you have gone through so much in life, and you are just exceptional.
Thank you.
And I just want everybody to know that's listening to this right now that I don't know another person that has actually gone through what you have in life. And you have really like you have made it, and you have made a life for yourself, and you have been so disciplined with growing yourself and growing your brand and just not stopping and not quitting. And it's like so inspiring for someone like myself. Like, it's like if I have a bad day, I'm like, oh, I'm having a bad day, but it's like, I could just think to myself, Charity has had way worse days than that. And it's like, but like,
I love it. I love you. I love your
like
heart.
seriously, like I could be having a bad day, and I could be like, what, people out there in the world, like literally, this is nothing.
They're pushing through it.
This is nothing compared to what someone else has gone through. Like at such a young age, you have gone through so much in life. I mean, like I don't know. It's just like hearing you talk about that and just your life and things that you have gone through. I mean, like it's amazing. It's like, seriously, it's amazing. Like I don't know how you've done it, but you have, and you inspire thousands of people. Like, you're great. I
love you.
I know. Everybody,
but you do. I know. Like,
this is why we love her.
I was gonna say, this is Miranda, though, and this is what people will know you for, because
this is crying. Like,
no, this is literally who you
this
are.
This to Andy.
Person.
We connected. Andy yesterday was like, you guys should connect. You would really get along. We're going to do a mid-podcast crying selfie. Get in here.
Oh, my God.
Selfie.
I am not. Wow. Okay.
I am not well.
Girl,
oh, man. Thank you guys.
I love you so much for that. I think it's hard to appreciate when people give you a compliment, because it's like you're so used to being humble. And we're taught to not accept compliments, you know, because we don't want to look like we're, you know, so full of ourselves. So it's difficult for me to hear that, and I appreciate so much for you laying it on me like that, because that shows who you are as a person and why we connected immediately. Because again, like Andy was like, you guys need to meet. Like you guys are gonna hit it off. And so, I mean, she did. She followed me. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, I'm like, and I instantly knew who it was when I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait to meet
Pretty sure
her.
I was messaging you. I'm like, do you want some meal prep? Like,
I know, literally, like we hadn't even met each other yet, and she was already offering me her meal prep, and I was just like, this is probably the most caring person I've ever met. And I haven't even met her yet.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then I did meet you, and you were like the same thing. Like she told me exactly what she thought of me, who she was. You know, like you have insane discipline and grind, and you are so focused, and I know that like that's why that you're here too.
100%.
You know, it's because of who you are as a person. It's because of your grind, your dedication, your spirit, your energy, and you just have such a heart to give back to others that's why you are successful. That is why you are where you are, and that's why people recognize real.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna cry more.
And this is literally a class A example of why I love First Form.
Yes.
These are literally the conversations that we have with each other.
Because without First Form, like this connection, like seriously, like,
I don't think people understand what I'm saying. I don't think people understand the depth of the people and the character that is at First Form. This isn't normal. I wish it was, and I wish that these kinds of conversations were normal for people. But for you to be so open and vulnerable like that in that moment and tell her exactly how you feel with tears and emotion and like you put your heart on your sleeve like that, right? And for you to sit here and share some of the darkest things that you went through and like to walk us through it in that way, like I'm sure the listeners feel the same that I felt. I was not able to listen to you without tears in my eyes.
Well, I was just like, when she was talking, I was trying to envision like myself going through that.
Same,
and I'm like,
same.
I
just took us on a journey, just so you know.
In my mind, I'm like, I don't think that I would be capable of just conquering and going through all those things. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, just like looking at who you are.
You
and
could, though.
You have in a
but-
different way.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
have
but-
in a different way.
But it's, you know, it's inspiring to see how other people can conquer their own life and their own journey. And you know, like I'm a very like in-depth person. Actually, I don't like surface level shit. Like I'm just not.
We could tell.
Can't do the small talk.
I'm just like not. You know, I'm not about that. So it's
I'm like, you guys
tell me about your childhood trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't ask her about the weather.
What's the last thing you healed from?
Yeah.
No, and I think it's super important too. Like when you are, you know, trying to have a friendship with somebody, or, you know, you're trying to establish a relationship. Like, you know, I like, this is me, you know, like I'm not trying to cover myself. I'm not wearing a mask. Like you know, that, and I think that that's so important with actually like having authentic friends and genuine friends is like, is being able to be vulnerable, or being able to be like, you know what, you know, this is not my best, or, you know, hey, I'm sorry, you know, apologizing, or, you know, being able to be vulnerable. Hey, I'm so sorry I upset you. You know, that's not my intention. Like being able to actually communicate those things, like, you know, that's, and I, you know, back to the therapy thing, like I just think that that's, you know, how I've learned through therapy is like I had a hard time apologizing to people back in my day. I had a hard time accepting that I was wrong, or that, you know, I was like this flawed person. And when I realized that a lot of the problems that I've gone through in my life were actually my issue, like, you know, like I could say like my dad was shit, you know, because he is,
you know,
with his actions. But it's like, I can also sit there and be like, I'm not going to be a victim. You know, I'm not going to be a victim of my circumstance, which is like what I relate to you as, you know, I'm not going to be a coward. I'm not going to be a loser. I'm not going to be my childhood. And I think that that's, you know, how I relate to you as well. Like not to, you know, the extremity, but it's like, you know, I knew back, you know, way back then, like I knew like for me to make it for myself, like I knew that I was going to have to just conquer, you know, and like that's, you know, I think that we all can relate to that, and that's why we all, you know, can connect, is because, you know, we have a lot of depth, we have a lot of, you know, love to give and a lot of heart to give. And I used to be very closed off actually to people, and I used to be kind of scared to be vulnerable to people because I used to think that it was kind of like loser, like I don't know,
weakness
because of my childhood, you know, because my parents didn't have a great relationship. And it's like now that's all I want to do is actually be vulnerable and open and, you know, and tell people, you know, I think you're great, and, you know, this and that. Like that's just
because that is courageous.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Is. It takes extreme amounts of courage and bravery to look at someone and tell them how you feel, without holding back, with just being completely laying it out here, transparency. And, you know, and there's only few people that can receive that too.
That's
because
important.
if you are not able to be that real with yourself, it's very difficult to receive that level of vulnerability from someone else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then you can feel rejected, but what you don't realize is that they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting themselves.
Yes.
And I love the fact that, you know, even as she's speaking, and I do the same thing, but I notice that you literally put your hand on your heart to receive, because you're just like, I received that.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. And I think, you know, learning to receive is a really important part of life as well, because especially for people like us that have really had to fight to be where we're at, and we're producing and we're doing, we're not used to like sitting back and receiving and being the one receiving love, being the one receiving honesty and truthfulness or an apology, like you mentioned. So,
well, that's healthy feminine energy.
And it's beautiful.
It is like, that is true feminine energy. It's not I'm gonna give and service. It's no, I receive.
Right.
I am worthy of this. I deserve this. You know, I accept this. Thank you. You know, that's the true feminine energy. You know, being able to accept and receive and be like, you know what, I am open to this.
Absolutely.
Instead of feeling like you have to serve others constantly.
Absolutely.
What do you think helps to bring people more into a feminine energy? So let's say that they're really in their masculine. Do you know of things like practical things that they can do to start practicing being in their feminine energy?
Is saying thank you. Honestly, that's the first thing. It's the first thing. It's because how many times are we giving compliments and it's like, oh, but look at you.
Yeah.
Or coming from you. There's always a deflection.
Yeah.
I'm not able to receive this, you know, or it's like, oh no, or they demean themselves in some way immediately. No, say thank you. Receive. Accept the compliment. I think that is the easiest and the first way to start. Like when you start knowing that when you start being self-aware or waking up to like, okay, I'm probably too masculine. I'm probably too like severely independent. You know, I've got like this trauma response, is when someone is able to show you love and vulnerability and appreciation and your first response is to deflect it. That's an unhealthy trauma state. That means you are unwilling and unable for hurt, experience, conditioning, whatever reason, you are unable to open yourself up to love. So it's like, just say thank you.
Absolutely.
You know that you deserved that kindness.
And going off of that, I struggled with that. Sometimes I still struggle with that as well.
Same. Yeah.
You know, and it's not that I don't think those things about myself. It's just I'm always wanting to make other people feel good or special, because that to me like brings me joy, you know? So it's like for me, I've actually had to talk about that with my therapist. Like we've had multiple conversations because I feel, I mean, do I come off intimidating? But anyways, that's, you know.
I mean, you're a little intense.
You can, you definitely, you definitely could be. But I don't know. I feel like we're pretty strong women.
Yeah, I was
gonna
say
so like,
not intimidating, maybe, but I see the intensity, and I
Yeah.
can see how that could be intimidating to somebody else who does not have that same level.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get that sometimes, you know, like that, you know, the intense or the intimidating.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people tell me that, when we have a conversation, sometimes I'm in the routine of I want to dumb myself down.
Oh,
so that way
make yourself less.
So that
not
the
up in here. We will not allow
I was
that.
gonna say we won't let that happen.
No way.
Because I think for so long, just for me, just being, you know, kind of out there with, you know, I'm very straightforward. I'm very blunt. I think for me, it's like when I've experienced conversations like that, it's, you know, I want to make sure that the other person feels comfortable with the conversation. So it's like if, you know, if someone says, you know, this, I'm like, I automatically can bring up like my weakest point in a conversation so that they feel, oh, you know what, she's normal. Okay. You know, so it's like I've actually had to practice not doing that like that because it's you know, like you said, it is a trauma response. You know, that did happen in my childhood, you know, so I've actually had to work on that. So like I really related to, you know, that you said that, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I've done that several times, you know?
I think we are all guilty of that. And that's why I say it, because it's like, I have to remind myself of these things all the time. It's not like, that's not still a struggle for me. You know, I have, like when my first response always when someone gives me a compliment is to deflect. And I have to pause in that moment and be like, no, we are receiving this.
Yes, yes.
Me, myself, and I, we are receiving this.
Yeah, I love that. And it, in the moment, it's a compliment, right? But later, it's in relationships, or later it's in marriage, right? In so many different ways. And if you can't receive from your partner and your most intimate people that you love around you,
they feel it as rejection.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, how could you expect to have a certain level of love when you have the door closed? You got to open the door.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, this got deep, guys. Should we shift a little bit and talk about last night?
Yeah.
Yo, last night, okay, I don't even know how to get this story started.
My God.
So how about this? We'll each give our perspectives, okay, from where we were sitting. So
You go first.
Yeah, so it's what, like 1 a.m.? It's like 1 a.m. or so, I think.
Yeah.
And
hotel lobby. Create the scene.
Yeah, okay. We're at the hotel lobby. It's 1 a.m. There's probably like, less than 10 of us sitting at a long table with, there's a long bench, tables, and then chairs on the other side. I'm sitting at the furthest place from the door, meaning I can scan the whole group and see everyone and everything pretty easily. And I see this character walk in, and immediately I have laser locked eyes on this person because they are coming in, they're drunk, they are not in the right place, and they're scanning each individual.
They were sizing,
They were sizing every one of us up, and I was like, oh, hell no. Like, every radar was going off.
It's not the group to do that with,
This
honestly.
is not, listen, we are not the ones.
No.
He, walks over, comes over to Tommy, in between Tommy and Charity, and, he's drunk out of his mind, like out of his mind.
Or on some other
Or
substance.
it might have been a mixture of things.
Yes.
I wasn't here for it. I wasn't about it. I didn't want to entertain it.
We were done with it immediately.
Yeah. I had already imagined myself lunging across the table at him because he was next to you and he looked like he was going to touch you.
He did touch me.
And then he did touch you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and it was one of those things, very drunk person, not in the right place, but also it could have gone south. And I just like to avoid any instances that could go south, right? Like, I don't need to hang out and then have to respond.
And then see what happens.
No, I don't want to see what happens. I do kind of want to punch someone in the face, if I'm being totally honest.
I was going to say, Lauren and
I
were right there.
I kind of always wanted to. I've waited 31 years to punch somebody. Someone's going to get one.
This is my moment.
This is the moment that I was created
You're
for.
like, all this jiu-jitsu is about to come into play right here, right now in this hotel lobby.
Yes, literally.
So what's hilarious, guys, you have these three women sitting here saying this. We're with Tommy Vexed, Tony Sentiment, Big Ty, some of the biggest, most badass men.
Stacy.
Yes,
Stacy's there. Who else is there? Yeah, those were the men that were there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, some of the most badass men. We were fine. There was
there
no
was no
worry.
danger or
no
anything.
danger.
Yes.
But it's just so funny because it's like, the men were so calm, and it was like
We
women,
were pissed.
the women were ready to fold this guy up and toss him into the street.
Honestly, they should have just let us.
Okay, so like my version of this. And it was so funny because it's like we're all talking, and so like she painted the picture, but so it's like Tommy's at the end of this table, I'm here, and I'm sitting across from Emily, and Lauren's next to me. So he's coming around, and I see him walking, and I was with her. Like, I could sense her, too. Like, we both immediately disengaged from the conversation, and we're lasered in on this guy because I saw him come around, and he had his hands behind his back, and I couldn't tell what he was holding. And instantly, I'm like, ding, 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 and I'm like lasered in on him, did not move my eyes from him. And he's walking around. I see him looking at all of us. See him looking at me, and I see him come behind me, and I instantly, every muscle in my body tense, and I was like, she's ready to fly across the table.
I'm ready
to deck him, in an instant, So I'm like, man, it's been a while since I punched someone. So I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here, okay, Charity, it's been a while, let's just see what's going on. But I think it's because Tommy was just kind of like, what's up?
So inviting.
And I was
so
just
inviting.
like, why did you just invite this man over here? But it was a whole situation. But I think it was so funny because he came over, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just sensed all that negative energy.
It was pretty bad.
And I think, especially as a female who has gone through domestic violence, it's a completely different scenario when you see someone who is unhinged.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
And
they can snap like this.
and it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
they don't look threatening.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the
Thank you.
men were not
Right.
like concerned because they're like, oh, he's not threatening. He's not threatening.
I think, to be honest, Tommy's the only one that was inviting him. You know, he
Yeah,
had,
I was
he
gonna
had
say
inviting
no. I was gonna
energy.
say, oh, Stacey
Ty and Tony and
Ty,
Stacey,
yeah,
yeah,
were
they
like,
wouldn't have- yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No,
Which
because
Tommy, bless his heart, he loves to help.
I
but
know.
We
I
weren't
know.
about it.
I was not about
Are
it.
the weakest link.
I was
Goodbye.
like, throw him to the streets.
we
Like, that's
voted,
where
and
I
the
was
answer is
at.
no.
So
I
funny.
think just every single radar was going off, and it's not like I was triggered. It was just like
Yeah,
I was prepared to do what was necessary to handle the situation
100%.
from escalating because it's like this man was violating boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
And the instant he touched me, I was
Yeah,
I
no.
was ready to end it
Yep.
and throw him out because it was like, no, you do not get to touch me.
Yeah, and he
You know?
comes
Right.
and like touches your shoulder.
Oh,
and
he was like,
goes,
"Oh,
"Is this
you're
okay?"
not okay with this,"
Yeah, he
and I
goes-
was like, "No,
And that's
I
when I
am
finally
not
said,
okay with
leave,
this."
back off, leave.
Yes,
Right.
and I literally handed him my water bottle. He's like, "Oh, can I take this?" Like he's just being combative, and I said, "Yeah, you probably need this more than I do. Take my water, leave."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we were not about it. It was like
No, it
shut
wasn't-
it
it wasn't
down
funny.
immediately. It was not funny to me. I was like, this man needs to leave.
And
Right.
like, you know, I guess, you know, we can sit here and tell the funny story to the audience because it's fun for us to
Yeah.
kind of revisit it. But like some takeaways for the audience and for women especially.
Yes.
Here's the thing. We had 4 of the most badass men with us, right? We
Yeah,
were fine.
absolutely.
There's nothing wrong. But in the scenario that especially they were not there, like, and to me, no matter what, guys, don't entertain anything that makes you feel
No.
off.
Right.
Literally ever. You don't have to be nice. You don't have to be the one that helps them or saves them or fixes them or makes sure that they don't go to jail.
Right.
Bless their hearts. The men took care of him last night
I
and
was
tried to
gonna
help
say,
him
yeah, like-
Right.
not go to jail.
It was
Right.
a good
Good for them.
scenario,
Yeah.
but that situation could have gone so many
yeah.
different ways. And I think that we see that in
And
our
we
world
sensed
right
it.
now too. And we sensed something was wrong. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I have been in close quarters with someone who was smaller than me, right? And they still did damage.
Yeah.
Because you were not expecting someone like
100%.
that to be that unhinged, to be violent with
Or
you.
to have a knife inside of your
Or
pocket.
exactly.
That you
So
just,
it's like
you know,
for him being so close to
Yeah,
me
yeah.
and not seeing what was behind his back, like I was just so alert and ready to act because I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I could have been harmed.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Or anyone else, you know, because it's like you don't know. Like he could have like just walked up and had a knife, you know?
100%.
And we never
Right.
would have known because he's just, you know, someone who doesn't look threatening. And
Right.
it's like
But like, it's never the ones that come in big and scary.
exactly
With
Absolutely.
everything,
You know?
with everything on the surface level.
No,
it's
like
the ones
you
that you
can
don't
never
expect.
be too careful. And I think Tony actually brought that up too because he brought up
Yeah,
some
he
different
did.
scenarios that happened in Miami where, you know, someone who didn't look threatening was a threat.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think it's just so important to just be aware of your surroundings, especially as a female.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, we were safe. Nothing happened. The situation was handled correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And the man, took care of him, made sure he got home,
Yeah.
everything. Okay.
Yeah.
But had that situation gone any differently in
It could have been
let's say-
such a different
but
story.
Oh,
let's say that
absolutely.
we weren't strong women and we didn't know how to defend ourselves and we weren't prepared to because I mean like the moment he snapped his fingers at us like Lauren was ready to like
Yeah.
stomp on those fingers
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Right,
like, we
right.
were ready to go at any moment you
Yeah.
know? So it's like but most women are not like that you know
Yeah.
Right.
They think that they have
They-
to be nice.
yes.
They think that they have to entertain.
And
they
you
have to welcome
don't.
that.
And
No.
you laughed, but it was like the minute he was like, "You're not okay with this," and I was like, "No,
Yeah.
leave."
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard your laugh from across the because she was like, "Oh, this is gonna get good."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then at one point he actually came back and it was
back,
funny.
like,
He
twice,
came back in and was
because-
like snapping his fingers,
Yeah.
like, "You guys need to leave." And that's when Lauren and I were like, "Oh, we are."
And then finally I was like, we don't have to. And I was going to tell the guys to take care of it. And as soon as I get to Tony, Sentimont goes out there and he goes, says what he says. He does
that
his
was
things.
the third time, yeah, because he came back a third time.
And
He came around
kicks
the
him out of
back
the door.
which was like right behind me, and he came back, and Tony just saw. He didn't even have a chance to open the
Nope.
door. Tony
Right.
was behind me and at that
Yep.
door, like,
Yeah. Said what
"Sit
he
down."
said, roared like a lion.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
he
And
was
the guy
like,
left.
Go.
Yes. Yes.
And like, here's the thing. I would much rather roar like a lion, right? And have
Yes.
someone leave than have a whole different story today.
Yes, it's
You
not.
know?
Absolutely.
It's not like the fight happened. It's not like anything
Yeah,
physical.
yeah.
There's no altercations.
No.
But it was like, okay, if you are not strong and you do not uphold your boundaries, though,
Yeah.
people will walk all over them, and you will end up being a victim.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
Don't be a victim.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's your choice.
Yeah.
And I think
oof.
that is so important for people to understand.
What you
Absolutely.
just said is a really hard truth and reality
It
for people
is.
to understand.
Yeah.
But you have to ask yourself in every single situation, what is my part in this?
Yes.
Right.
What part did I play? And
Yeah.
sometimes you're choosing the thing that hurts you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're choosing to put yourself in a scenario where you're a victim. And listen, don't take my words wrong. I'm not ever victim shaming.
Mm-hmm.
There are real instances where we have been a victim of a certain thing. Domestic
Like, I
violence,
understand completely.
sexual
Yes,
violence,
yeah.
whatever it is. But then there's a choice that comes after
Yes.
that. And
Absolutely.
then there's also a choice that comes when you take time to make yourself equipped
Yeah.
to be able to handle these certain situations.
Yeah.
You know, and especially for the women out there, like I share a lot of the stuff that I do in terms of like
Right.
martial arts or gun instruction and things
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
and the courses that I do. And I really am actually so passionate about it because women, your husband's not always going to be there. Your
No.
brother is not always
Absolutely.
going to be there.
You can't rely on everybody else to
No.
be there and save the day. Like, you have, like, worst case scenario, you're at the grocery store by yourself. You need to be prepared
Yeah.
to
Right.
take care of yourself
Yeah.
or whoever else is with you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and here's the thing. It's so empowering. Like once you start to actually teach yourself and equip yourself in these different ways, it's so empowering. It's not fearful. You don't live in this anxiety or this, mixed perception that everyone's coming out to get you. It's the
Yeah.
opposite.
No,
You're like,
you're empowered.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm on edge and
No,
walking on eggshells.
no.
Like, I was completely calm the entire
Yeah.
time, like, because I knew I could handle myself.
100%.
There's a confidence of, like, I'm not worried.
yeah,
I
Right.
am just ready to act if need
right,
be.
Absolutely.
right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Oof. You know what's so funny? At the end of it, we were all talking just like this, so intense. And I look at Ty, and he's just sitting there with these big eyes because Ty was a little bit more quiet. And he was like, I was like, these women are crazy, huh? Talking about myself. Because we're all so
we don't.
intense.
This
Oh
is
my
what we do.
gosh.
We were like all talking to like Lauren, Emily,
For
and
like
I were
an
all
hour.
talking about like what we would do to this guy to handle him, right? And we were all just talking about like how we were gonna fold this guy into a pretzel and toss him out into the street. And Big Ty's literally just sitting here like, eyes big, and then Emily looks over and she goes, "I know, we're all psychos."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You guys are all psychos."
But like, to be fair, what kind of luck does that guy have to choose us? Like our group out of
Yeah.
anyone.
Well, okay, so that's why
Absolutely.
I
Have
was
real world
saying to
tactical
self,
sitting right
like,
there.
Literally. Literally.
I was like, he was looking for something for him to
Yeah.
approach a large group and go after the one with the face tattoos.
Yeah.
Of all the people
Right.
to approach.
Right.
You know? And
Yeah,
I'm just
he was looking for
he
something.
was looking
Yes.
for something, but he didn't realize the guy with the face tattoos was
going to be the
softest guy
softest.
at the table.
I was gonna say the same thing. No, yeah, okay. Here's the thing. I know we're ragging on Tommy a little bit. I will say, he chooses to be the softest
He
because
chooses, yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't want to see what comes out on the other
I
side,
know,
and
I
he doesn't
know.
want us to see that either.
And he also has
Right.
such a heart for people
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
just
yeah,
wants
yeah.
everybody to be okay. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
the man's hurting. He's hurting. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. You can
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
that way.
Well, I
We-
think
yeah, but
the
he's-
funniest part was when they came back and Stacy was talking about, like how he was on the conversation with his wife.
Yes,
Remember that
yes.
whole thing?
Oh my
Wait,
gosh.
so tell them that
so-
part.
so-
Tell them that part.
Okay, so while they're outside, Tommy and Stacy take him outside. They're trying to call him an Uber, just like control the situation because the cops got called from the hotel
Yeah.
lobby. So the hotel lobby called the cops. Cops were there, but they didn't want to do paperwork,
Yeah.
So they're trying to handle the situation. And Tommy's like, look, dude, if these cops take you, you're not even going to be in front of your wife or a lawyer until Monday morning. Like, it's Saturday night.
Yeah.
Like,
Go
go home to
home.
your wife. And he goes, but you don't know my wife.
I know. That was the
So he
funniest
gets
thing.
Stacy to call his wife, and he's like, and Stacy's on the phone with his wife trying to like talk to her, let her know where her husband is, come get him. And she starts yelling at Stacy. Like, why the F is he at that hotel with you? Blah, blah, what are you guys doing? He's like, I don't even know this man, okay? He's like, I just met him. He walked
Literally.
into the lobby. we are just trying. He's like, Heather, I understand.
Heather, shout out. We hope everything worked
Shout
out.
out to Heather. I hope you got home. But
Oh my gosh.
but Stacy was like, I don't know your husband. I'm just trying to help and get him home.
Literally a good Samaritan here to help.
Yes,
Literally.
Honestly, God bless the guys.
I know.
Yes.
They were very kind.
They were.
Yes.
I don't think that man expected the level of kindness that he received.
I know. And honestly, maybe it's a good thing the men were there because
he would have not have received
honestly,
it from us.
so listen.
Oh, no.
So here's the thing. I only go to the place that I need to go in order to get the job done. If the guys were not there, we would have escalated so much more quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
1000%.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I was ready. The instant he approached us, I was ready.
Yeah, same. So I think it was a blessing because I agree with, Tommy and everything that we witnessed too. There are a lot of demons in there, that he's dealing with. So, and I hope he gets help. And, while we're on the subject, it's like, I feel like especially with the way the world has gone in the last couple of years that people are turning to certain things in order to handle the feelings and the things that they can't handle in life.
Stress.
Right.
Yeah. And so they're turning to drugs and drinking and all sorts of things that are really taking over their lives. Yeah, like I just spoke to a woman at Summer Smash the other day who, she and her husband both she was like, we were imprisoned to alcohol. She's like, when I tell you, like we had no control over it and it controlled us, you know? And so I think about that and I think about, the heartache that people go through and the struggle and imagine feeling imprisoned to a substance.
Yeah.
Like how horrible that would be, and of course we're not going to take anyone's shit. We're not going to put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation. These are two different things, but I think about that epidemic that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And man, I just hope that people are able to not be too prideful to reach out and get help, maybe
because we are in a mental health crisis right now. We 1000% are.
Absolutely.
And it's like maybe they're listening right now and they just got sober and they're feeling that guilt and that shame and that remorse and also the depressive feelings that they tried to escape are there and now they're back even worse. Listen, go reach out, go get help, go to a meeting, like call a friend and tell your friend, yo, I don't have control over my alcohol. I don't have control over these pain pills that I've been taking. Like there's no shame, like get help, do whatever you have to do, reach out, be vulnerable, because the second you do that, you're on the path and the trajectory to getting your life back. Don't allow your life to be taken by a substance. You were created for so much more than that. So
absolutely,
don't allow that to hold you back.
Absolutely.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
We are reaching the end of the podcast here. So I kind of want to wrap it up a little bit because I know we got to go to the pool party. I want to end it with a piece of advice to your younger self. It can be any version of your younger self. It could be childhood. It could be teenage. It could be last week.
Okay.
So who has something in their head first?
You go first.
Oh boy. Okay.
A piece of advice to your younger self.
I would say no one is going to love you like you love you. I would tell myself that 100%. And I would also tell myself, no matter who doubts you in this life, no matter who tells you you're not going to do that, you're not going to be this, how are you going to do that? No matter what negativity you actually face in this life, it is up to you to overpower those things and to conquer any obstacle that gets in your way. And I think that that's really important when looking back at my younger self is, I used to feed into, I used to be told, you're going to be a loser. I dropped out of college, and like going through those things in my life were really hard because it's like when people, that you care about tell you these things, you believe them, because you trust them. And it's like, you have to trust yourself. And when you start to actually find that inner peace and you actually, you know who you are inside, without the looks, when you actually know what your soul means to you, you can conquer anything, but you just have to actually believe in that. And you have to believe in it every single day, no matter how hard your day is, no matter if you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit, or, you feel bloated, or you're like, oh, I feel ugly today, or, all those emotions aside, we still have a choice to show up every single day, no matter what, and I live by this to this day, I would say is I allow myself to feel things and I allow myself to go through things. But there is also a huge time and a place for those feelings. Like I still need to get work done. I still need to show up for the day. I still, need to show up for myself. And it's important to, put a time limit on, when to feel sorry for yourself and when to actually kick it into gear, you know, because no one's going to do the work for me. No one's going to show up, for me when I need to. And, I think just showing up for yourself, regardless of how you feel, and then actually allowing yourself to actually feel those emotions so that you're not bottling them all up and then projecting and, ruining relationships and friendships. I think true love, comes from here, the physical traits, they don't match up to who your soul is inside.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow.
Well, I think for me, it's just you're meant for more. And I think it's understanding that you don't have to settle for where you currently are. And it's like, make those actions and decisions, for your current situation, but also understand that you are meant for more, and everybody is meant for more than what they're settling for. And I think it was always accepting less than what I was meant for.
Wow.
And it's just, you don't have to accept less.
Absolutely.
You can, it's okay to say, no, I deserve better. And I think that has been a repeated lesson in my life of like, no, it's okay to say I deserve better. And to understand that my worth and my value of who I am as a person has nothing to do with this. This is nice, but
Absolutely.
But it's here, it's what I bring to the table, and I know what I bring to the table. So it's like, it's having that understanding of who I am. And I think self-awareness, doing the inner work. So my advice is just do the inner work. Don't focus on your appearance. Focus on developing yourself, your character, your drive, your discipline, and know your self-worth.
Absolutely.
You guys are some badass women. Like,
I'm so
guys, no, seriously, like, I'm so
We all are.
inspired because here's the thing. You guys are both beautiful on the outside, and it literally doesn't even compare to like the depth and the beauty and just everything that I see on the inside. It's like, oof. Just makes me so proud to be y'all's friends, and I feel like we need more strong women in this world, and we need more women with depth of character and with integrity and with willing to take responsibility and to say that they're sorry and to make things right. And so I'm just so thankful for you guys, because I believe the way to lead is to lead by leading the example, by doing it yourself first. So thank you for what you guys do. Please don't ever give up, ever, ever, ever,
Thank
ever.
you so much,
Absolutely.
Emily. You have been such a light. You really have. From the moment I met you, like your energy, your presence, like you say that to us, but it's like that's who you are too. Like,
Absolutely.
you are this beautiful fitness inspiration, right? But that doesn't even compare to the woman of God that you are, the
Absolutely.
woman of character that you are. And I just am so lucky to have you as a friend now.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
And
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate being here and you allowing me to be in your presence, in your space.
It's a privilege.
This is a huge privilege. As again, someone I used to watch your YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and I used to just obsess over your discipline. I'm like, I need to. How do I be like that? How do I do it? Okay, I bring my meal prep, like
I bring the meal prep.
So it's like, for me, it's like, I am just honestly so honored and grateful to be here. And I appreciate you so much. Seriously.
I want you to know, like, okay, I feel so protective over her because of how precious she is. No, listen, I would murder somebody for you. Should I not say that on my
That part out.
Maybe I should.
Speaking of that, when I was sitting there, I was very tired. I was very tired last night, and I was sitting there and I was really trying to collect my thoughts while this, the drunk guy and all that stuff, and I was sitting there.
You were at a distance too, so you were watching.
Yeah.
Well, I was sitting there and I was thinking, like, if I ever was to be in a situation where I needed some girls to help me out in a situation,
We're the ones.
I know who to call. And
Literally.
I was sitting and I was just like watching Charity's face, and I was like, oh my God, like, she is really not someone to fuck with. Like, she is just not. Like, I was kind of like, the whole situation to me was kind of funny. And I
kept hearing you giggle.
And I was kind of giggling.
And I was pissed.
And I was looking at her and I'm like, man, this is not it. This
is not it.
Not, like, don't fuck with Charity. Like, I was waiting for her to throw hands, like, actually, because, I don't know, it's just, perspective. But I was sitting there and I'm like, God, like, these are some pretty badass people here. I'm like sitting there like laughing and I'm like, and they are ready to fight.
She's just literally just witnessing everything.
I was just like, I was amazed. But anyways, going back to you, seriously. Thank you seriously so much for having us here today.
Of course.
I saw your message. I was like, oh my God, absolutely.
You guys are awesome. I appreciate y'all's time, and make sure, is there anything you guys want to shout out before we end the show? Anything, any program or anything that you guys have going on, or
Just
merch or whatever? Okay. I'll link you guys down below so they'll find you, but thank you guys so much.
Just be kind, you know, be kind.
I
That's
love
all.
that. Be kind, be a good person, do the
That's
right
right.
thing, and we
Evolve.
will see you guys.
It's right,
soon.
evolve.
All right, guys, you know the drill. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and subscribe to the show. Leave a rating and review. That's the way that the show grows. Share it with a friend if you thought it was helpful, impactful, entertaining, a little funny, or a little psycho, and you just relate, for the same kind of crazy. That's cool too. Their socials will be linked below, so check it out in the show notes, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.